What's up, Digidestins? This is Kyle D, better known as Ridemyavatar, and today we have Japanese top decks. These are BT09 decks, and they're slowly creeping into BT10. Let's see what decks they have up their sleeves, and I really like to show off. So let's dive into the video and see what decks actually have been doing phenomenal this week. So first off, we have Beelstarmon. It's a very interesting list, don't get me wrong. Its take is very unique, I gotta say. There's not much different than your normal turbo mill. Everything in here is to help you mill into getting your 7s in the drops. But what are some spicy techs in this list is first Howling Crusher, because discard all sources of all your opponent's Digimon. So basically, if they have X-antibody, the only deck this really doesn't work against is Grandis. But if they hit this Howling Crusher in security, the rest of the decks kind of just lose out, and the only card that's left to stay is the X-antibody option if they have it underneath. If not, their Digimon is completely without sources, and it really punishes them a little bit for it. So it's not a bad card, and even just using it off of Beelstarmon's on-play effect could really make the match in your favor a bit. Just because you do play like Flying Bullet, because everybody plays at the 6 cap, you're not really worrying about level 7s. So at least then if they hit this in security, their 6 will die. So you get your win-wins in some way, shape, or form with this list. What's very interesting is you'll go Demimera, Gabumon with, let's say, even just Eismon scatter mode. Well, remember, blue also needs a way of with Beelstarmon to go off, so we're going to play Gabumon X-antibody for this, which we don't care about its on play or anything like that. Its Digi-evolution cost for 0 on top of a Gabumon doesn't require color matching. Remember this. So you can just go 0 on top of Gabumon here. Now you have the X-antibody. The effect will whiff, but it'll just pretty much put some cards at the bottom of your deck, just cycling in and just see where you're at. Just keep that in mind, that it's just really interesting. We have like Impmons for the mill. We have Darkness Wave for the mill, because you don't have a yellow Digimon, so you're not going to be triggering the other half of this, but it's just for the mill. Miss Memory Boost is here for the trash and draw a card, then place it in the battle area just for the extra memory boost. Really good. Calling from Darkness is to delete one of our Digimon, so we don't mind popping any of these guys. We pop an Impmon, we pop an Eismon, and we'll just get cards back. Just remember, if you're popping an Eismon scatter mode or Impmon, you have to resolve Call from Darkness first, then you get to do the rest of the effects, because you have to finish your card's effects beforehand. Nail Bones in here just to spam out Ginkamon Promotes and this Devimon blocker, just to alleviate some damage, you know. And then Happy Bullet Shower, delete all your opponent's Digimon with the lowest DP. Most of the times these are OTK decks, so they're all just stacking up one stack. So Happy Flying Shower, if revealed in security, you know, will remove everything off the board. Kaida's Breath just to bounce stuff back, you know. Just all in all, draw. And then we also have the promo Impmon. At the end of the battle, you may play one purple level 3 Digimon card from your trash without paying its memory cost, then add this card to hand. So basically just recycling anything if it's revealed in security. Not a bad trade-off. And then we already know what Beelstarmon does. She's just comes in for cheaper the later the game for all your level 7 options, and then return one option memory cost 7 from your trash from your hand. Then use one option with a memory cost 7 without paying its memory cost. Color requirements are needed, except if it's like Happy Bullet Shower and Fly Bullet. They as long as you have the 3 Musketeers on board, the color does not ignore the color requirements. But if you want to use Kaida's Breath or Howling Crusher, you do need the Gabumon X-antibody on board before you play Beelstarmon. So keep that in mind. And we also have Jack Raid and stuff like that. So this is just Beelstarmon. It did get first place at a locals. I mean, it's a lot of Japanese are local based. They don't really have major events yet. So just watch your step. This might be an interesting take on a deck list for future players, and being BT, 9 is going to be beneficial. Next, let's talk about it. We have Dex X-antibody. So this deck is one of the better decks in the format, just because of the way it's played out. You build up a stack, you have a removal threat based on, the play cost equal to how many sources you have, since you can just climb up a billion times because all your Dexes can digivolve on top of your other forms. So let's say you go, Duramon, go into Durgurmon, digivolve on top of Enraging for 0, Dexadura, then digivolve into Durgreymon. Now, then you go into Dexadura. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 cards just off the bat that are you're gonna pop level 6s with this, and then you can put 1 if you choose to just stay on this, or you can go into Dexadura himself, because if this has a Durgurmon in its Digievolution, or when digivolving from the trash, delete all your opponent's Digimon with the lowest play cost, being able to board wipe on himself. Costs 2 though, and you may play a level 3 purple or black Digimon from trash without paying its play cost. And if you have 5 or more cards with Dex in its names in your trash, you may instead play 1 Dexmon from your trash without paying its memory cost. So if you can get 1 Dexmon after this thing dies, congratulations, now you have a big boss Digimon coming in. So when you would play this card, reduce the play cost by 3 for each of your opponent's Digimon and Tamers in play. So as long as the later this game goes, Dexa comes out, and then on play, when digivolve and de-digivolve all your opponent's Digimon, then delete all your opponent's level 4 or lower Digimon, and on opponent's turn, once per turn, delete all your opponents with the lowest play cost. So easy board wipes, easy nastiness. And we also have Senzorimon just to get piercing, because we're going to be extremely high power attack, because even if we're on Dex, or even Durgurmon is just, we're going to have over that power threshold. There's enough viable targets, so Coda can actually be beneficial, because now you can add an X-antibody. So just really good. And then we have Cool Boy being able to add a trait or the option to our hand, and the option to our hand. And then when one of your Digimon digivolves into a Digimon with the same level with X-antibodies trait, you may suspend this tamer, gain 1 memory, draw a card. So he kind of just filters in and makes you be able to go into Dexadurgurmon for free, basically. If you have 2 of these out, you can reduce it to 0 cost, basically. You're going to mitigate it. And having X-antibody, being able to not worry about all your sources being trashed, is huge. And even looking at this, you can put that card underneath it. So now you have this card in here, so it can't be trashed from your Digimon's Digivolution card effects. And when attacking, you may digivolve this Digimon into the card with X-antibody and traits by paying its Digivolution cost. So just read the room with this deck. It's really good because all the searching, all the drawing you have. So trash 1 card with the X-antibodies and use trace from your hand to draw 2. Just all the advantage you have. When digivolving, you may trash 1 card with Dex in its name, or with X-antibodies and trait in your hand to gain 1 memory. Hey, if this Digimon has Durgurmon in its Digivolution cards, or digivolves from the trash, one of your Digimon gains blocker and retaliation until the end of your opponent's next turn. It's all going to have all this nastiness that your opponent's just not going to want to deal with, especially having blocker and retaliation, so they can't just swing in and try to pierce you out. So if your big Digimon can just tank their big guy, that's huge. Or you can buy a turn and just clear out everything. You'll win with this deck because just the control aspect, the power behind it, the OTK potential, all this nastiness that is quickly able to build up. And since your boss Digimon gets really big pretty quickly, it's just nasty all around. And now let's talk about it. Shivamon. Shivamon was introduced in BT8, which we're going to start seeing shortly on our side. While your opponent's Digimon are suspended, while all your Digimon are suspended, your opponent can't use options. So if he's the only one on there, so they can't use options, so he's gonna just stay there and make it so that they can't use their memory boosters or anything like that. They can't use them at all. And then while this Digimon unsuspends in the unsuspend phase, trash the top card of your opponent's security stack. Really nasty little card, because let's be honest, being able to unsuspend him and then trash security for free is just a form of, I didn't have to swing into you and worry about losing any advantage. Agumon, just because we're going to be activating our unsuspend step, is more than likely he's going to survive, and then you're just going to have extra memory. Gamimon's in here for when your opponent Digimon becomes suspended, draw a card. Just add a draw advantage. Terriermon's in here for memory choking. Wormon's in here to help us add a level 4 or level 5 among them to your hand. You know, if he dies, he's very likely to die because you're going to swing him with him. Pulsemon's in here. All turns, this Digimon gains 1000 DP for each of your opponent's suspended Digimon, making your Shivamon huge, and that's what you want. You want to be over a certain threshold, so they can't just swing into it. Pulsemon's in here, so at the end of the battle, suspend one of your opponent's Digimon, then add this card to your hand. If they check your security, this is huge because now they have one less attack, and this might trigger Pulsemon to be even bigger. Namakimon. So this card is just in here to suspend, reveal top 3, add 1 green Digimon card from among them to your hand, place the remaining cards at the bottom of the deck in any order. Then we have Xuriamon. So when Digivolving, you may suspend one of your Digimon to suspend one of your opponent's Digimon. And then this Digimon gains 1000 DP for each of your opponent's suspended Digimon. So similar to Pulsemon, you're going to gain more. So if you have both of these underneath him, he's just going to get bigger, and then they can't swing over him. Then you have Koga, so retaliation. So if you wanted to, if you didn't have Xuriamon, you can have Koga and it'll have retaliation, and they're not going to swing into it because they won't lose their big Digimon. Yes, they don't want to lose. They want to get rid of Shivamon, but if they swing into a Kogamon, they're going with it underneath. They're going to lose their big boss Digimon very easily. Then you have Blossomon for Digizorption. Then you have Digizorption Pestmon. So Pestmon is this Digimon gains 1000 DP for all your other suspended Digimon. So, I mean, other suspended Digimon. Oh, not your opponent. Sorry. This is all your other. So as long as you have a bunch of rested Digimon. Sorry about that. Keyword phrase recorrected. Climbmon. So if this Digimon is suspended, return one of your opponent's suspended Digimon with DP less than or equal to this Digimon's DP to its owner's hand. So we have Xuriamon and Pulsemon underneath it. He's more than likely going to be able to, if you have at least 2 other Digimon on board, be able to gain at least a 12k bounce, because it's for each gains. Yeah. So if you have 2, you just need even just 1 and you're pretty set. So when your turn, when this Digimon becomes unsuspended during your unsuspend phase, suspend one of your opponent's Digimon, instantly just locking down more. Agumon's in here to lock down Tamers, just to be that annoying jerkwad. Boulder Arms in here just to remove at least 14k bodies. Shama Sente. This card is very interesting. So if you may suspend one of your Digimon to suspend one of your opponent's Digimon or Tamers, your opponent cards suspended with this effect cannot suspend until their next turn and end of their next turn. Then we have Grounded Fang. Return one of your opponent's suspended Digimon and one of your opponent's suspended Tamers to the bottom of the owner's deck. This card is finally a fantastic green card that they've been waiting for. This card should have came out eons ago. Just to be honest with you, this card is just fantastic. Then you have Green Memory Boost to help dig and gain extra memory. And then you have Mimi. Mimi just being Mimi. You don't care if Sheba loses resources and stuff like that. As long as you can just keep suspending him and unsuspending him, he just becomes really nasty pretty quickly. I mean, all in all, I think these are great decks. They might not be constantly tier 1. I think besides the, you know, Dex deck, these other two are just very rogue contenders, but they did top a locals, which might mount to something. But guys, what did you think of these lists? Let me know down in the comments. Do you like me covering Japanese formats, at least, you know, a weekly basis? Your Tuesday morning brew, you know? Let me know down in the comments, and I'll catch you next video. Peace!